Closeness is a blessing and it is a curse. Closeness. That's all that some other people desire to have. Once they are close, they are not improved by that proximity, by that closeness. They become worse in doing evil. Remember, one woman was crying to mom. She was crying, because now the husband says, you have to leave the house, you have to go. The husband is actually saying to the woman, to the wife, you have to go because now we cannot continue together. Even Prophet himself told me that. I went to see the Prophet and the Prophet told me that you are a bad person, very dangerous. My life is in danger. So the woman is crying to mom now, saying, how can the Prophet do that to me? But woman, you being a member of this ministry, where have you seen that? You see, the problem is the man has had access. And the wife is aware that the man has gone to the Life Haven. And when the man is coming from the Life Haven, he's saying, Prophet has told me to do this. And she's crying. She has been deceived because of proximity. A man has had access. And he goes on to implement his desires, what he always wanted to do. Now he's saying, Prophet said this. So mom is saying, no, Prophet doesn't see a person when cameras are not running. And I'm not even supposed to show you this, but if really things get, you would see as your man come in and as he goes out, and I will ask you, where did Prophet say such a thing? Yet here you are crying. How can Prophet do that to me? But the issue is, if you were really a member, you even as a woman, maybe you were coming and you were sleeping because it was hot, but being a member of such a ministry, where have you seen that? Where have you heard that? To then believe your husband simply because he had access. That's how the devil has been able to deceive a third, because he had certain secret meetings with God. So if he comes out and he tells a third of the angel, they are bound to believe him. It's not everything that a pastor will tell you about the founder of the ministry that you need to believe simply because he's a pastor. Be careful. I know men that have had issues at home, and all the wife is asking for is go and see Baba. Go and open up to Baba. And finally he says, okay, I'm going to see him. And then when they come to me, they find a strategic place where the wife is standing over. He comes to me and he tells me, Baba, my back is giving me problems. And I lose appetite. And that's all. When he leaves that place, he goes to the wife and they lie. I said everything to the man. He knows what is happening. He's helping me out. Now she has hoped what? To stay, because that was the condition. Unless you talk to Prophet, I'm going. Now he has gone to the Prophet. I've prayed for him over what? Appetite. I know this. You will know it when you start to observe, when you start to consider. To consider. The devil must have said something negative about God. And a third of the angels believed him. Why? Because he was a senior. There are meetings where angels are not invited, only seraphims and cherubs attend. And they believed him. Be seated. Be seated. Yes, somebody can say, I was there. Okay, I had a meeting with him. Don't believe him based on that. Like here, like I've told you before, all of us here, you have attended the meeting, right? But does it mean that everyone knows what is happening here? Okay? Yes. After the meeting is over, we'll have to wake some of these people up. It's time to go, it's time to go. So wherever she goes, people believe that she was a part of that meeting. So don't be quick to trust people simply because they are saying, I was with him. We had a meeting. No. People don't understand the theme. Be careful. He was he was accustomed to the presence of God. And he comes out of that presence and he tells a third of the angels, there is something wrong with this ministry. Something is wrong. We need to pray. Yes. I'm telling you, my friends, my sisters, Baba needs some prayers. That's how it starts. As concern, the devil was able to discover a fault in the system of God. And he capitalized on that. You might not see it in the devil. You will see it in the people he possesses. Go and study Absalom. You only get to now have a test of the devil's understanding when it's in him, you cannot diagnose it. When it's given to Absalom. Absalom was, in terms of proximity, close. Son. And he looked into the system of his father. He saw some weaknesses. He said, what do I do? And he went to the gate and he sat at the gate. As people were coming, he would see people crying, wanting to see the king. He goes to them, he says, Mudawona mambo.
You want to see the king?
Huh? Mambo are busy.
And he says the king is busy.
All of the problems, if you are coming here and they're expecting to see the king coming out, not anymore. David he has no time for this. He is now too big. Can you imagine? It was that little boy in the forest a few days ago. Now he's too big. He has bodyguards. You can't have access to. This was his own son. If you have a matter, if you have a problem, tell me. Yet he knows that his father is now at a level that he is not even supposed to be entertaining all of these people. So he capitalizes on that.
And Absalom rose up early.
He was dedicated to that.
And stood beside the way of the gate.
The way of the gate, as people are coming to their king. Now there is a son. Now he seemed to be so concerned about the affairs of the people.
And it was so that when any man that had a controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called unto him and said, Of what city art thou? And he said, Thy servant is of one of the tribes of Israel. And Absalom said unto him, See, thy matters are good and right, but there is no man deputed of the king to hear thee. And Absalom said, moreover, oh, that I were made judge in the land, that every man which
If
hath
I were made judge, if the king had appointed me, there's no man to hear you. That's the problem with this church. He discovered a weakness. Yet the weakness is a common weakness. It is bound to be there. Yet he was what? A son. And it was easy for people to believe Absalom because of proximity. 1/3 of the angels were deceived. Why Lucifer had more access into the presence of God than the rest of the angels. Why am I telling you all this? So that you consider the heavens. Consider the heavens. Consider the heavens. Now, saying all this, I'm saying all this to say, and then God leaves the heavens and then he visits men. What is man that you're so mindful of?
of him, the Son of Man, that thou visitest him.